Welcome to Socially Powered Digital Marketing Show, the digital marketer's guide to emerging technology, covering blockchain, cryptocurrency, and social media disruption. Hi, I'm Erin Cell, your host of the show. This week we will be discussing online events and podcasting, which makes sense considering I'm speaking at an online event on the 4 Ps of podcasting. I'm excited to welcome our guests, Phil Anderson and Shelley Webb. They are co-founders of the social media summit Coeur d'Alene, which I spoke at in 2019 in person on Instagram, and they've invited me back this year in 2020 to talk about podcasting. So let's do this. Welcome to the Socially Powered Digital Marketing Show. I'm super excited to have Phil and Shelley with us here today. We are going to talk about online events, changing from in-person events to online events. We're going to talk podcasting and so much more. So welcome to the show, Phil and Shelley.
Hi, Erin.
Hi. This is my first show with 2 people, so I'm excited to have you guys here.
Yay, we can talk over each other.
Yeah, I will do my best not to talk over everyone. That's a problem of mine.
Yeah, we know that about you, Phil.
Perfect.
Just kidding.
No.
I wanted to have you guys on. So we've actually been seeing a lot of each other this week. We were just recording yesterday for my session for their online event that's happening. What are the dates for the event? I know it's 3 days. Is it the
4 days now?
Oh,
No,
4
4
days.
days. Yeah,
Okay.
we've added a
Added
day,
day.
September
Okay.
21st to the 24th. Yep.
Nice.
The 4th day will be a little shorter, but 10 hours for the first 3 days. And then, yeah, they're real long.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about that. So, okay, first off, let's so it's the Social Media Summit Coeur d'Alene, 4 days. So how do you plan on, okay, we did Virtual Blockchain Week, and that was 7 days, and I believe ours was like 6 hours each day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, not the first day and the last day, they weren't as long because we just did like an opening network and then like a closing party. But so for 5 days we did 6 hours, I think.
Yeah.
So what is your strategy for doing 4 days, 10-hour days? Because you have to manage, and it's not like you're pushing a button and that's all you have to do.
Erin, you're so cute. What is our strategy? You're so funny.
Yeah, would that we had a strategy, right? So originally we didn't think we were going to have this many speakers, but we had so many good opportunities that we didn't want to say no.
Right.
And so it kept growing, and then so we had planned to do 8-hour days, but all of these are recorded, so nobody has to sit there for 10 hours.
Except for Phil and Shelley.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you
Right.
guys still have to manage, and you're doing the live Q&As, and I mean, there's still the tech stuff that goes behind
Exactly.
it. And are you doing, as far as like the intros for speakers, are those already done?
Yes, those will be
Yeah.
a part of the presentation. So really the only live things we'll be doing, it will be at the end of the presentation if
The
we have
QA.
time
And
to
then
lead into the next one. Exactly.
Right. Okay. So I guess that makes it a little bit more manageable. It's still, oh my gosh, I'm like
We
tired for you guys already.
Yeah, so are we. We actually figured it out. I believe it's going to be about 150 man hours for each, Shelley and myself for each speaker.
Total.
150 man hours
total. Not
For-
Okay. And
for-
that's like all the pre-work that you're doing and all the pre-recording.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
It's been interesting learning a new platform also, because when you have it.
So I do want, we didn't talk about talking about this, but I do want to talk about it. And that is, you're using Hey Summit. How do you feel about it so far? Because I've heard
Pros and
mixed
cons.
reviews about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are pros and cons. It's a fairly new platform. So there are some things that you can't do that I would like. I mean, I have a list of 10 things that I wish it would do. For instance, it will only link to certain profiles, and we have people speaking on YouTube. We can't even connect their YouTube so people can go see them there. And Pinterest is another one. So it would be helpful to have those.
Yeah, to be able to connect to those platforms.
Right. And then you would think the speakers would automatically be added as attendees, but we have to go back and add each one separately. So
Oh, that's frustrating. How many speakers do you have in total?
35.
Okay. At least that's somewhat manageable. At least it's not, 150 speakers
Exactly.
and you're having to go add those all individually, because that would be insane. So
Yeah.
I want to hear from you guys, because I spoke at your event last year in person. As you know, I've done my own in-person events.
Yes.
And I've done virtual events. I want to know what you guys think about the difference between creating and managing and, putting together an in-person event versus virtual. Do you think it's more or less work?
Well, I will tell you this. Shelley really has a strong opinion about it being more work to go online. The setup and the preparation and the organization and all of that. Once you get to the learning curve, once you actually get to the day of the event or the days of the events, I think it will all be worked out and it'll be pretty manageable. We won't have to worry about speakers showing up because we have them. So the in-person events, that is the challenge. That is the worry. And you have to set up the signage. You're at a physical location. You still have tech issue
And you worry about your
potential.
speakers because I don't want them sitting in a room by themselves getting all bored and things like that.
So I still like the in-person because I like people. And you get up in front of people and you kind of work the group and you get them excited and there's the energy of the room. So we have to almost kind of mimic that, as you know, with the presentation that we recorded with you. You could at least see us responding, but
it's definitely different. It's different to do a presentation and not have an audience.
Yep. Yeah. So what we've been doing is we're really trying to feed the speakers during their presentation. It's just two of us.
Right.
Trying to at least show. Yeah, we don't necessarily talk, but we show if there's a joke or something funny or they make a point. I'm trying to nod.
Right.
So they see that. So they know that there's somebody gathering this right now. So. Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan of in-person. I 100% miss the in-person events. The last event was World, and that was right before the world shut down.
That's right.
Thankfully, we got to go to that.
I know. I would have been really bummed if it would have canceled, and who knows what the future is for. Right. I don't know if they're going to get to do 2021. I heard something that the convention center in San Diego was shut down into sometime in the spring. So that's still up in the air.
Well, you hear about New York is closing their restaurants until April 2021.
Right.
And you're just, how can restaurants even exist?
Yeah.
That?
In fact, I was watching, I don't know if you've heard of him, but James Altucher. And he wrote this blog about New York and that people are leaving and that they just can't stay there. And that it's not going to be the same New York, when this is all done. And then I guess he got a bunch of celebrities that, like, Jerry Seinfeld responded, Mark Cuban responded, and they were I think they were saying, like, kind of like a shame on you for saying this. But it's true. I don't, how can a restaurant survive being shut down for, in New York, I know they've been doing like the outdoor dining, but if they can't do outdoor dining in the winter in New York,
No,
So
there's really not much room outdoors.
No.
right, that's true too.
It's hard enough for a restaurant to stay in business to begin with. The margins are
Yeah.
so razor thin.
Yep.
And now you're throwing this wrench. Okay, we'll let you open 50%. I need 80 just to maintain survival mode, right?
Right. And that is, we've been, I know, like trying to at least go out to eat, do the curbside pickup when, before we could actually eat there as much as possible just to
Right.
help businesses stay
Exactly.
open. Because, yeah.
No, we haven't been doing that enough. We should do more of that.
We should do that tonight.
Maybe.
There you go. Friday night date night.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, all interesting just as far as like the change. Question for you guys. Do you think once things start opening back up, do you think, like, for example, for you, do you see yourself going back to an in-person next year if you are able to?
I'm not sure. I think that because we live in a smaller area, that we can probably get more attendees if we stay online for a couple more years. But then again, I like the in-person events.
Right. And maybe it changes things, that it's more of like a smaller, more impactful type of event versus trying to do the bigger, I don't know.
We had set up for this year, we were going to be at the Croc Center here in Coeur d'Alene. It holds 400 people, but it's very high tech, full stage, 2 big screens. It was perfect, and we were so excited. So we're toying with the idea of actually doing a combo in person and virtual.
Oh yeah, you could do, I mean, it could be, you do maybe it's even it's a higher price ticket to be there in person, and you get more of like interaction.
Exactly.
Maybe it's even more like workshop, and then also do the virtual to get the word out to more people.
Right.
That's a possibility.
Right. So it may be that we're leaning that way. So then we can triple our workload, which will be great.
Right.
Right. Who doesn't like more work? Well, I mean,
Exactly.
if you're doing it in person, and then it's not that much harder, right, to just stream it. I mean,
exactly.
We've done that before. Yeah. You just need the tech person to
and they
make it all happen.
Yeah, they have a full tech staff there.
Yeah.
So
that's nice.
It's not even an extra cost. It's all worked into the cost, and that's what made it really nice. We'll still bring the divas in as some volunteers, but we don't need as many of them.
Yeah, we can't have the divas on the virtual.
Aw, you could do couldn't you do a social distance something?
Yes. We're still practicing, and
they're not sure what they're practicing for.
Right.
We're hoping that we get to do the Christmas parade. We don't know yet.
Oh, will there be a Christmas parade, or?
There may be.
Yeah. I mean, you're outside.
There's high numbers here.
We're just
outside. Yes.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, there's an event here called Festival of Trees, and I'm sure you've heard of that because they have them all over the country. But you decorate trees for charity, and people buy the trees. They're planning on having that, so if they can have that, we should be able to have a parade.
One would think.
Right.
One would think.
Let's move on to our other topic that I wanted to talk about, and that's podcasting. That's actually what I'm speaking at the summit on this year, which is kind of a new-ish topic for me to speak on because, I've been producing the Bad Crypto podcast now for, 2.5 years, I guess. Just started editing not too long ago, so that's still a little bit of a learning curve for me. But you guys have some podcasts, so you've got
we just throw out anything for podcasting,
right? So you've got
we're like Marie Forleo. We're multifaceted entrepreneurs,
right? Well, we all
rather
are.
than unfocused.
No, that's not true. So Phil, you've got the Business Buffet podcast that you co-host, right?
Yep. Ed Bejarano and myself have the business buffet. We've just finished our first year. We're on episode 116. I think we're recording today after this.
Wow, 116. How often are you putting them out?
Once a week. But we did have, for the longest time we were publishing 4 days a week. And it's still something that I would like to get back up. But we had the whole buffet of business.
Very cute.
Yeah, we had the business buffet. So we had the main dish, which is our 20 to 30-minute weekly podcast. Then we had the side dishes, which we do this week. And so those were little 6 to 7 minute, just simple, quick shot. And then we had ingredients where we would actually interview. No, we didn't actually do the appetizer. We toyed with the hot dish, which would be a Facebook Live. But we had the ingredients, which we interviewed someone, and kind of we've done CEOs about branding and navigating through tough times.
I love this. I love it.
Yeah. So right now we're still doing some ingredients off and on, but the side dish has been put on the back burner, if you will. I just came up with that. I make myself laugh. So anyway, that's the business buffet, and it's been fun. So that's the small business owner.
That's awesome. So then are you recording for Wine Time Friday?
Yes, Wine Time Fridays. That's once a week, and you'll never guess what day that publishes.
No, never.
I'm going to tell you, it's Friday.
Really?
Not even joking. Wine Time Fridays. So, after it's been a long week.
Today.
Yeah, right. I'm still editing for today.
I was going to say, are you ready to go?
Well, knowing that this won't today, I feel safe. So
correct.
Probably by 7 p.m. tonight.
All right.
Because that's how I roll lately.
So then you've got a couple other podcasts that aren't done yet, but I do love, or they're not out into the world, right?
Right.
So I do. I love the idea behind the music podcast that is yet to be named, right?
Yeah, I was toying with, I had a Facebook page called All Kinds of Great Music, and I think we're probably not going to use that. It will be something Shelley said it perfectly the other day. It's
the best music you've never heard.
Yeah, the best music you've never heard. And I don't know.
The best song, because it's one song, right?
Yeah, the best songs you've never heard.
Yeah. So it'll just be a little 12 to 15 minute episode featuring one song, and it'll be driven alternatively with me and the other co-host. So that'll be fun.
You could call them side Bs too.
B-sides.
B-sides.
Ooh, you have to go check, see if that's taken.
Yeah.
I love that.
Or we can play around with something like that.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good idea.
The B-sides podcast, the best song you've never heard. Yeah.
So that'll be fun. That'll probably start in October. Shelley and I are going to have a social media podcast now that I'm getting in the rhythm of it. And full well, there is a rhythm to this. And once you get into that rhythm, you talked about the 4 Ps of podcasting. It really is true to have these things set up. And it's funny, after we recorded your presentation, I told Shelley, it's like every time on our wine podcast, I want to talk about superficially the wines that we've drank through the week. So we had one of these, and these. Pretty quick. I've forgotten the last 2 weeks. They're in my notes. I just never get there.
Right.
So
that's just it. Like it's funny because I started this podcast back before social media marketing world, thinking I would get a bunch of interviews at the conference. That didn't happen. Then came back, COVID happened. And I basically was just like, meh, didn't do anything.
Right.
But since then, I have been reinvigorated, I guess. And so I've been trying to record a bunch of, get a bunch of content in the pipeline. So then I'm not struggling for those, guest interviews. So as of now, I've got, this will be the 3rd one. I've got 2 more planned. And then just, having those notes, having your show flow helps so much with the making things all come together and knowing that, you've got your process in place, which I think is one of the most important pieces.
I think listeners will hear that. That's the important thing. They will know if you're just throwing something up on the wall,
Right.
or at least have some structure. We know that we're going to be really busy the weekend prior to the conference going live. So we've already got one extra in the can, so we don't have to record that weekend.
Right.
And so there's a lot of more upfront work. But I had been talking about this with Shelley for years to do a wine podcast, and we kind of put it off. And we were down at Social Media Marketing World, met someone that had a podcast, went to a wine meetup. She had a wine podcast, and then she got a case of wine sent to her. I'm like, that's it.
We're
We're starting right away.
Dang, maybe I need to do that.
And we're being diligent. We're going to do it. Do you realize the average podcast doesn't go past 7 episodes?
Really? I mean, I'm not surprised by that, honestly.
Right.
In fact, I think I'm at number 7, or either you guys will be number 7 or number 8. So, but
We
like
want to be
I said,
number 8. We want to be the one that pushes you over the average.
right. Well, I've already got them recorded. So no matter what, I think I'm getting to at least 10.
Yeah.
Would this
Remember to number your podcast correctly.
Yes. Oh, so this is
Yeah.
really funny. I have to mention this because when we were before we were talking about it, somehow I switched my podcast from Omni to Podbean, and it screwed up all my numbers.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. So I need to go check.
There's
and see,
another lesson.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and that is something that I didn't talk about in the session, but one of the things you want to be sure that you think about is the end goal, I guess, of whatever you're using to host. So there's all these different options, right? So Omni, Anchor, Podbean, what's the one that you mentioned? Buzzsprout. So I've switched actually a few times because I started with Libsyn, but I didn't really like the functionality of Libsyn. I felt like it was just, I don't know, it wasn't user friendly in my opinion. And so then I switched to Omni, but then I realized that the cost of Omni just didn't make sense. I really like Omni, but so then I switched to Podbean because I had used Podbean before and the cost made more sense for what I was doing. But when you switch between hosting your podcast, you have to be very careful to make sure that everything actually transfers over. And I didn't realize it screwed up all my numbers. Like everything was just like mixed up in there. So I had to go fix them all. Thankfully, I only have 7, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But if I had 100, that would have been a real nightmare.
Well, we had numbered on the business buffet, we would number them MD for main dish, and it would have its own number.
Right.
And for side dish would have its own number. And then the ingredients would have its own number. And we real fast how confusing that was.
Yeah.
We're just E for episode 116, 117. And doesn't matter what the episode is, whether it's a side dish or an ingredients or main dish.
And that is I know that firsthand too, because of producing Bad Crypto. We do our normal episodes, but then we were also doing spotlight episodes and naming those different. Thankfully that is now done, but every time they'd be like, oh, hey, we want to throw in this episode. And I'm like, you do realize how much that screws me up with the planning and production of the show, because every time you want to add something else in, then I have to go adjust everything else,
But you mentioned in your presentation, you can have a bonus episode. And I think
that's what so we would do bonus episodes that would just get plugged in that were not in the normal naming or numbering. Yeah.
So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Honestly, that's going to weed a lot of people out.
Yep.
But seriously, people have something to say. And as you well know, all podcasts are, they live in perpetuity and they're searchable if you do the metadata right.
Yep.
And that's fantastic. And then you can kind of spray those out to other things. You have all that content.
Right. And like I talked about in the session there's so many different things that you can use. So I can pull just little snippets from this and I can put it on a quick little short video to go on either on my Instagram feed or on my Instagram stories or on my Facebook stories or Facebook posts or what. I mean, there's so many options and ways that you can share out once this is done. And I mean, a lot of this conversation that we're having it's evergreen. I mean, obviously we can't talk about I can't share out the summit stuff after the fact, but there's still so many nuggets of information in here that can be used.
Well, and even Alexa skills and flash briefing, we had our, I haven't done it for a while because it's so low on the priority list, but once it gets into the system, we do the business bite, which is about a 90 to 300 second, at the most, it can be 5 minutes, but a little bite. And I always try to clip a very entertaining part of that. And we'll have Wine Time Fridays sip. So you'll get that little snippet on there.
Nice. I may actually need to pick your brain about that because I haven't set that up. We haven't set that up for bad. I think you can. I know you can say like, "Hey Alexa, play the Bad Crypto podcast," but I don't think we've done the snippet portion.
But so the little snippets go on the flash briefing. So I'm not going to say her name because she's
right. Because then she'll start talking.
Right. But Allie play my flash briefing, and I hear whatever news, sports, and anything I've chosen to get on that. And one of them would be the Business Buffet Bite. Here's the latest on the business. Here's your bite of the business buffet. I can't remember what the terminology is, but it's that little snippet, and it may not even be a good business snippet. It may just be entertaining
right.
for them to listen to the podcast.
Yep, so, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, cool. The main thing here is we want to make sure that people go get signed up for the summit. So, can you let our listeners know where to do that?
Shelley Webb.
The easiest way probably is to go to our main website, which is smwcda.com. So S as in Sam, M as in Michael, W as in W, C as in cat, D as in dog, A as in the person's name we can't say who's in the room.
Allie, we nickname her.
.com.
Yes,
and then that will lead you to the other site. So
perfect. And we'll link to that in the show note. What is the best way to connect with you guys?
I am most active on Instagram, so just Shelley Webb.
Perfect.
SHELLEYWEBB.
And on Twitter, I'm Philip M. Anderson. Philip with one L. She's got two B's. I only have one L. Philip M. Anderson on Twitter, and then you can find other places.
Cool.
Nonsense. Yeah.
And I will be sure to link to those for people to connect with you in the show notes. Any last words of wisdom?
I would just like to say a little bit, Erin. First of all, thanks so much for having us on your podcast.
Thank you guys for being on.
Yeah, you bet. But our conference isn't only social media, which I think people sometimes get stuck into thinking that. We have got talking about business strategies, mindset strategies. We've got somebody talking about Twitter and Twitch and TikTok and
how to do business in the COVID era.
Yeah, we are really spanning we're throwing that net out very wide.
Nice.
So if someone's thinking all we're going to talk about is Facebook and Instagram, and we have Facebook
and podcasting.
We have the 4 P's of podcasting.
And Alexa skills.
Yeah, we have Alexa skills and things like that. Shush. So, we are really throwing a very wide net out there. And I think it's something that every small business owner, if they even heard 20 of the 35 speakers, would get a lot out of it. So
they still have a whole year to listen to the recording.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
So
that's fantastic.
My little parting shot, but Shelley has her shot too.
Yeah, that would be my shot.
Okay.
You get an entire year to listen.
Do you have a social media tip? Oh, sorry, that's on
our
podcast.
Our other podcast.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Authentic, right?
Be authentic.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Well, that was fun recording with Phil and Shelley. I'm really looking forward to the social media summit, Coeur d'Alene, and I hope that you guys go grab your tickets and come listen to my session on the 4 P's of podcasting. And by the way, we forgot to mention if you use the link in the show notes, you'll also get a 20% off the tickets. So be sure to go register for that upcoming summit, and that is September 21st through 24th. And I just wanted to say thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And you can follow us on social media. We are everywhere at Socially Powered, sharing tips, tricks, and the latest episodes on all things social, crypto, and blockchain related. Thanks.